Yeah, I know, it's been a while, hasn't it? But I kind of spent all of last weekend fighting a pretty bad cold and a lot of allergies. In fact, I'm still a little congested as I speak right now. But point is, I'm behind again, and I apologize for not giving you guys a heads up about it. I should have, and that was wrong on my part. So, without further ado, without further ado, let's get back on topic, shall we? With the second Avengers movie, that for some reason did not make nearly as much as the first. I don't know why, I don't know how, but for some reason it did not make as much money as the first one. And I think that is a crime, because this is actually better than the first Avengers. Yes, I absolutely kid you not. This is not clickbait, this is not me trying to get views or anything like that. This is me being honest. And in my honest opinion, Avengers 2 Age of Ultron is better than the original Avengers. It's darker, it's more serious, it takes its time, and it is a genuinely amazing film. But it's not better than Captain America the Winter Soldier. Sorry, my pigs are being noisy. Anyway, yeah, it's not better than Winter Soldier. Why? Well, I'll do my best to tell you all about it in detail without going into spoilers. So, here we go. What's up, what's happening, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Mr. Station, just for anything and information, including heroes assembling for the fight for the fate of the world, as well as TV movies and hosts just as well with a bit of Marvel dismay. Welcome back to our second phase look-through of the MCU with Avengers 2 Age of Ultron. I love this movie. I loved it when I first saw it, which was like a year after it initially came out, because I didn't have money for the tickets back then to see it in theaters. And even now, all these rewatches later, it only gets better every single time. And this time in particular, yeah, I'd call this movie yet another masterpiece that not only outranks the original, but is more more well made than the original. And yes, if you've seen my review of the original Avengers, where I gave it highest of high praise, that is going to be saying something. And I know that a lot of people do not agree with this opinion. A lot of people think that the first Avengers is still better. And if you do, I respect your opinion. But in my opinion, Age of Ultron is still better, and we're going to talk about why. So, without further ado or delay, here is my written review for Avengers 2 Age of Ultron, and an explanation of why, without spoilers, I think it's better than the original. Here we go. Spent the weekend fighting a nasty cold, so it's time to play catch-up. Would you believe me if I told you that the second Avengers movie is actually better than the first? I get if you think it sounds like blasphemy, but this, in my opinion, is the actual honest truth. Avengers 2 Age of Ultron is a severely underrated and outstanding sequel that took everything that the original did so well, cranked it all up to 11, and heightened the stakes exponentially with a much grittier tone and look. Sure, it's not as rewatchable as the original. That's the only area that I think the original does beat this one out. The original is more rewatchable, because it's more lighthearted, goofy, and fun. Whereas this one, it's dark, it's serious, and it is tense. But just on a pure quality level, this is actually a better film, in my opinion. All the positives of the first are here. You know, the acting, the action, the story, the writing, the characters, the character development, the runtime, the pacing, etc., etc., etc. But it also adds a ton of new enhancements of its own. Ultron, well, not quite on par with his comic book counterpart because he's a one-off villain here in the MCU, he's still a pretty good one-off villain. Voiced by, what was his name again? James Spader, I believe? What was his name again? Yes, James Spader. Thank you, James Robotnik. Yes, James Spader, who does an amazing job voicing Ultron. Honestly, makes me wish he stuck around longer, because He is a great source for a long-time villain, because he is a fan favorite in the actual comics. But for whatever reason, Marvel decided to make him a one-off villain. Now, they did it in a really well thought out way, but it still kind of leaves me thinking, well, what if? What if Ultron became a bigger, more recurrent antagonist than he is in here? Just something to think about. And I think James Spader did an amazing job voicing him. And his effects to bring his designs to life, amazing. Some of the best CG that we've seen in the MCU up to this point. It is genuinely impressive. So yeah, Ultron, he's not on par with his comic book counterpart because he's a one-off villain, but he's still a pretty good villain and easily one of the better villains in Phase 2. But again, not better than Winter Soldier. You're going to hear me say that a lot in these Phase 2 reviews. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are great new additions. Yes, we only see one of them for this film and this film only. I'm not going to say who because you more than likely already know who it is. But they are great additions, even if they don't really match up with the whole Ultron thing, because, spoiler alert, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are mutants, and in this movie they're enhanced humans. It's a little confusing, but they still utilize them pretty well, and their battles with the Avengers are pretty entertaining. And Scarlet Witch in particular becomes even better with every MCU project that she's attached to. Amazing acting by, I think it's Emily, no, it's not Emily Blunt. Whatever her name was. Editing, help me. Thank you. The gritty tone and cinematography is fantastic and really helps it stand out from the first. Like I said, the original, it's more of a lighthearted, super simple story, super goofy, more entertainment value centered film, which is what makes it more rewatchable. But with Age of Ultron, it's darker, it's grittier, and it's all about trying to actually tell a story. Now, people debate whether or not it's a good story. I think it's great, but point is, this is different from the first Avengers and more than just, a villain swap. It has a grittier tone. It has a grittier look in that cinematography. Everything about it screams dark tone. Even though it does have a few jokes, and we'll get there when we get there. The final battle in Sokovia is phenomenal. I don't really need to say anything more. If you've seen this movie, you already know how amazing it is. Especially with how it ends up impacting things later on in the MCU. Music is even greater than the first. Story is dark and leads to some huge repercussions down the road, specifically in Captain America Civil War. Vision is really cool, and it's great to see Jarvis's voice actor get his chance to shine physically. Like, after spending so many years as just the voice of Jarvis in these MCU movies, his voice actor... and I cannot believe I can't remember who it is. I'm sorry. He gets to play as this character. And I legitimately love how he is as Vision. Like, Vision is great. I really, really like Vision. And I'm glad that the voice actor for Jarvis finally got to have a bigger role besides just, being the voice of Jarvis. So, yeah, he's great. He's really cool in this movie, and it's great how his voice actor gets a chance to shine more than just vocally. The humor is some of the best in the MCU, including the Stan Lee cameo. This is the one where he gets drunk on Thor's ancient whiskey. Excelsior! One of his funniest cameos in the MCU. And even though this movie is dark and gritty, when it does have humor, it's pretty funny. Like, for example, take the moments with Hulk versus the Hulkbuster. Not only is it a great fight, but there is some great comedy in there. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. I'm sorry. Mainly from everything that comes out of Tony's mouth during the fight, but it is genuinely hilarious. Pacing is slow, but more consistent. That was one of my little nitpicks with the original Avengers. The pacing was fast, but also inconsistent. But in Age of Ultron, it is a consistent, all the way through from start to finish, slow burn. And it does a good job being a slow burn. Runtime is perfect, rewatchability is still pretty high, and it once again throws the happy Hollywood ending out the window. Like, I'm just gonna say, when you see Ultron die in this movie, you are going to feel unnerved even after you see him disintegrate. Because you will still have this creepy, ominous ambiance through the scene. And even when they try to make it somewhat of a happy ending with, these new Avengers teams that are forming and everything, well, it still leaves you on an uneasy feeling. And I appreciate that a Marvel movie actually has the balls to throw that happy-go-lucky Hollywood ending out the window. Sure, Hulk still isn't a great character. He's not much better here than he was in the original. And his relationship with Black Widow is weird, to say the least. Yeah, they hinted at it in the first Avengers to some extent, but here they try to actually make you believe that these two can work as a couple, and it's just... bleh. Well, it doesn't work. But that's really a minor nitpick. I love Avengers Age of Ultron, and how it struggled at the box office still baffles me. How did this not make more than the original? I don't understand. Maybe it was misunderstood back when it first came out, I don't know, but what I know is that this movie's phenomenal and you need to see if you haven't already. It deserves far more respect than it gets, and it is better than the original Avengers. I will die on that hill, with pride. Final verdict for Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. High, extremely well deserved, maybe a little bias, 11 out of 10. Yes, it's not better than Captain America the Winter Soldier, but it's still one of the strongest movies in Phase 2, and an amazing sequel to the first Avengers. Highly recommended, definitely check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Well, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and like I said before, I already reviewed Guardians of the Galaxy, so we're going to skip past that one and go straight into our next review, Ant-Man. Yeah, we're already on the conclusion of the second phase of the MCU. Pretty crazy. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Excelsior. See you for Ant-Man.